right, so 2 more things left to do. Let us welcome back Mr. Rick. We haven't heard from him all show long. Mr. Rick, are you there?
I'm here.
I have a very interesting thing to tell you. But first, let us look back quickly at UFC 155. How did you do at UFC 155?
Perfect 4-0.
Really? Well,
Yes.
Which fights were these?
I picked Kane over JDS.
Okay.
I picked Miller over Lozon. I picked... what were the other...
Forgetting your picks.
I'm forgetting what were the other fights on the card. I picked Philippou over Boach, and I picked Okami over Alan Belcher.
You didn't do Lieben Brenton?
No, because when we picked that, Lieben was still fighting Vemola, who I picked.
That's right.
Then over Twitter, I picked Brunson, but I'm not counting that.
Okay, fair enough.
Got to keep it above board.
Yeah. All right, so you went 4-0. Right now, there are no lines for Strikeforce, right?
That's correct.
Who are you favoring, though? Let's take a look at the main event.
Okay.
Marquardt, Tarek Saffiedine, welterweight title. Important fight for Saffiedine. It sounds like Marquardt's going over one way or the other. Who are you picking in that fight?
Nate.
You're kind of down on this card, aren't you?
I'm not loving it. I think that there's a lot of good fighters on it, but I don't think there's a lot of good fights.
You think they're squash matches?
Yeah, a lot of them are squash matches. If somebody upsets them, then I'll be looking at it with a whole new light. Oh my God, that was amazing, but I don't see it happening.
So you view these fights as sort of showcase fights for, like, it's clear who they want to win?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So does Marquardt even, does Saffiedine even put up a fight here?
I'd say that fight's not one of them that I'm talking about in particular. I think that Saffiedine's a very capable fighter. I just really like Nate Marquardt. I think that he's put it together recently, and the complete package that he has, the skills that he has, are just going to be tough to beat. And I think that he's going to win. I'm not sure about easily. This is not one of those matches where I'm saying it's a complete, wash, but I think that Nate's going to take this one.
Cormier, Dion Starring. I mean,
there's nothing really to say here. Right before we left, I said that Cormier is the best heavyweight in the world.
Better than Cain Velasquez after you saw what he did.
In my opinion, nobody was less surprised by Cain Velasquez winning than me. I've been saying it all along. But no, the only thing that was surprising was that he didn't finish him. Not the fact that he dominated him from bell to bell.
Do you think it should have been stopped in the first round?
No.
You like that Herb let it go on?
I think that even though you can make an argument that, Junior took unnecessary punishment, there was no way he was quitting, and I don't think that anybody should have stopped it. I think that what happened was what's going to happen in the sport sometimes, where the guy is so tough and he's not going to quit, so let him fight.
I got to tell you, the fight that I would pay the most money to watch in 2013, the most intriguing fight for me, is Cain Velasquez versus Daniel Cormier. And this is not me starting shit. This is not me stirring the pot. This is not me trying to be instigator, all that. It is a fascinating matchup. It is an amazing styles matchup. I mean, they look almost the exact same. They obviously train together, but they're both great wrestlers who have developed into great strikers. Who's going to take down who? Who's going to stop who as far as take down the fence? I mean, who's going to get the better of who on the feet? I love that matchup. I wish we would be able to see it. It doesn't sound likely. Who would you pick in that fight?
Cormier is my horse, man.
Okay.
I'm picking Cormier in that one. I think Cain is amazing, but I think that Cormier is just a different breed of heavyweight. The way he was able to make his hands look so crisp, and just the way he was able to develop his striking game, coming from such a dominant wrestling background, I've never seen anything like it. He's an incredible athlete.
Speaking of heavyweights, no one really knows who Nandor Gelmino is. That's Josh Barnett's opponent. He looks very impressive. But I think this is a very important fight for Josh Barnett. It's the last fight on his current contract. No word one way or the other whether or not he'll be coming over to the UFC after this. I think if he wins impressively, he could make a strong case. Maybe he comes on the mic and says what he has to say. He loses to Nander the Hunt or something? Nander the Hun?
Yep.
Yeah. He loses. I think it's trouble for him. I'm not expecting you to break down Nandor, but are you picking Josh Barnett?
From what little I know, I got to go with Josh Barnett. Yeah. The thing about Josh Barnett is these are the type of fighters that, won't really pose a problem for him. Like, until you reach the really higher upper echelon fighters, Josh Barnett is just built to take these type of guys out. And now that, full disclosure, I don't know much about Nandor. So You have to take that for what it is. I don't think any of us do. So I'm picking Barnett, but what does that really mean?
By the way, who's Smeagol? Do you know someone named Smeagol?
Smeagol? Is that Lord of the Rings?
Someone wrote, "Good job getting Smeagol on the show." Oh, never mind. That's New York Rick. I don't even know. What is Smeagol?
Smeagol's the my precious thing.
Is that an insult?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not nice. I did notice earlier you look like Tarek Saffiedine. I mean, we already established.
Well, when I shave and get the haircut going,
it's amazing. You're like a chameleon as far as these MMA fighters. What about Mike Kyle and Gegard Musasi?
This is an interesting one because I mean, this one had been in the works for a while, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they shut this down like a bunch of times?
Yep.
And I think Gegard is one of the most talented fighters. I mean, on this show, he confirmed that he barely was training at early in his career, and I just think that he's such a talented striker. And even from his guard, for example, in the fight with King Mo, Mo was on top, but Gegard was landing such devastating shots from the bottom. I think that his game is just so complete, and he's such a good striker. I'm going with Gegard in this one.
By the way, what about Isaac biting my style over there with the plaid?
I think this has happened multiple times. I think right before the break, you guys were wearing the same shirt.
Well, that means we're in sync. Now, earlier, before we went on air, you actually said to me that you think Jacare Souza is a top 5 middleweight, right?
I do.
You think he's top 5. Where do you put Luke Rockhold then?
I don't put Luke Rockhold as high as Jacare. And now I know he won. I'll say controversially, I think that Jacare won that fight. Judges didn't agree. And I think it was close regardless. But I think that Jacare is above Luke, in my opinion. Of
course.
It's close. I wouldn't say, Luke is so far from him. I just say that I think Jacare, when he decides to use his jiu-jitsu, when he goes aggressively after it, rather than, this is like one of the things that I'm accustomed to seeing because being a BJ Penn fan, this happens a lot, where he's just content to counterbox, which is what Jacare was doing against Rockhold. He was just, okay, I'm landing huge shots, so I'm just going to sit in the pocket and keep throwing these. And now that doesn't look great for the judges, and that's why I think he lost the fight. The level of activity from Rockhold was amazing. He was just coming after him nonstop, while Jacare was sitting back and landing hard punches. But it doesn't look good for the judges. So if it goes to decision, you're not really gonna be favorable in that aspect. But I think when he's being aggressive, when he's going out after guys, taking them down and using his jiu-jitsu or coming with the strikes at them, I think that it's hard to compete with the package that he has with the power he has in his fists and the level of grappling that he has. I'm very high on Jacare.
So you're picking him to beat Herman?
Yes, I am.
And you think he goes far? I mean, let's say I think the number 2 middleweight in the UFC is Chris Weidman. You think he beats Weidman?
I think that would be a coin flip. I'd have to look at it a little more, but I think that's a coin flip right now.
By the way, after what happened at 155 with Tim Boetsch losing, with Alan Belcher losing, and Okami, I don't think he's going to get another title shot. I don't think Costa Philippou, he'll tell you he's not there. Jacare versus Weidman upon Weidman's return, that could be very interesting.
That'd be a great fight. In fact, yeah, I would look forward to that fight forever. I would love that fight. As soon as they booked it, I'd be waiting for it. That'd be a great fight.
All right, so that's the main card. Once again, it's free on Showtime. If you have some access to getting Showtime, even if you don't subscribe to Showtime, you can still watch the fights on Saturday. That's pretty awesome. They kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern on Showtime Extreme, and then 10 p.m. Eastern, you've got the main card on Showtime. Now, those were the picks. No lines involved because there are no lines for these fights yet. Follow New York Rick on Twitter. Later on this week, he has vowed to give you his picks with the lines, but based on who he picked, I'm assuming all these guys are the favorites, and it doesn't sound like he's going to change much on them. So this one's kind of like a wash, if you will. Next week, though, it really begins for New York Rick, because I have decided, my friends, beginning with UFC on FX7, that I'm going to give New York Rick a fake $100 bill. I need your help, though.
Fake?
A fake one. Yes. Don't go to the store. Don't try to cash it in, whatever. I know you like to do that kind of stuff. You're a swindler, as they say. But what I want New York Rick to do, because a lot of people keep accusing him of not knowing what he's doing or the favorites, this and that, he has to turn that $100 bill into X amount of dollars. I don't know what that X amount of dollars is. That's where you guys come in. I want you to write to me or him on Twitter and let us know what that cap should be, what that number should be, and by when. Because I'm not much of a gambler. I don't really know how this stuff works. All I know is that by a certain time, I'm thinking April or May, if he hasn't turned that $100 into, I don't know, let's say $500, New York Rick is gone.
That's kind of a hefty ask.
Why? I mean, listen.
That would mean that I'd have to bet on a 5-1 dog.
You don't have to do it in one shot.
No, I know I don't have to do it in one shot.
Build it up.
But that's the equivalent. I mean, yeah, no, I want to build it up. I think that
listen, parlays. I mean, do what you got to do. All you have to do is I don't care what you do.
You know what? Good.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ask the people.
Yeah.
Give me a number and let's get it started.
Why were you hesitant?
5-1 is a lot.
No, I said I'm just
to make 5 times my money. That's a lot. That's a lot of an ask because I'm not going to be betting my whole 100 every time.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
But you do a piece here. You could do 20 on this guy, 10 on this, whatever you want.
Well, I will be doing that, but that's all right. I'm up for the challenge. It's a big ask, but I'm ready. Let's do it.
So on Twitter, if you're watching this live, you don't have to do the right this second, but at some point this week before Monday's show, let me know what that number should be, and you can make the pitch next week as well. Think about it. Let me know what the fair number is. I don't know what that number should be, so I can't really. I don't want to be unfair, and I don't want to make it too easy. But let me know what that $100 should turn into, to prove to everyone that he deserves to be making these picks. All right.
I'm ready. Bring it.
That's for UFC on FX7. Some of those lines are already out, so you can kind of figure it out from now. One more thing, as far as New York Rick is concerned, I was on the MMA Report last week. That's hosted by my good friend John Pollock on TSN Radio, and we were playing a game of Unlikely Likely for 2013. Like, he was asking me things, will Anderson Silva be the champion this time next year? Will New York host an MMA event, et cetera, et cetera? And one of the questions he asked me pertained to New York Rick. Much to my surprise, I didn't expect to get a question about lowly old New York Rick. But there it was. He asked me the question, and I wanted to play it for you all because I thought it was a fun little moment.
And the final one, New York Rick becomes the co-host of the MMA Hour.
I can't even believe New York Rick's name is being mentioned with such a prestigious radio show.
Rookie of the Year award, I believe, in broadcasting.
Really? Wow.
I'm a big fan of New York Rick.
Really? Wow. I guess there's one.
Wow.
Of course. I mean, this guy just walks in. He thinks he could get, more than 20 minutes of airtime. Why do you think I have to expand the show? Because there's no way he's going to eat into the original 2 hours. So I have to give him something on the back end. He's a great addition to the team, but co-host, I'm not sure.
Rookie of the Year, New York Rick. Wow.
There it is.
You heard that. What was your reaction?
I mean, no big deal for me. It's just another day.
Unbelievable.
No, I'm flattered. Absolutely can't. Obviously, it's great to hear that.
It's good that you have one fan. I mean, you get so much hate.
Somebody's out there appreciating instead of being like, oh, you look like Smigel or whatever the hell, whatever the hell these nerds are saying.
Whoa. Very aggressive.
Yeah.
But anyway, what you wanted to say was thank you to John Pollock for the mention.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
My new best friend, John Pollock.
Yeah, there he is. It's a great show. It's the MMA Report on TSN Radio. It's actually the only other MMA podcast that I listen to on a frequent basis. And I also love live audio wrestling, which I've been listening for many, many years. That's also on TSN Radio, FightNetwork.com, all that good stuff, liveaudiowrestling.com. So anyway, thank you very much for having me on the show last week. And New York Rick appreciates the shout out as well. Okay, let's get to the questions. Again, at stake, the Ultimate 100, the greatest fights in UFC history. It includes 100 full fights, over 26 hours of historic UFC action, 8 discs. 8. Unbelievable. You know what's interesting? The sticker on the front of the DVD says 25 hours of footage. On the back of the DVD, it says 26. Unbelievable. Anyway, it's courtesy of Anchor Bay Entertainment, our good friends over there. And by the way, I also want to thank our good friends over at Round 5 who hooked us up. What is this, Series 11?
Yes.
Series 11. Look at this. We've got Chael.
No.
What?
Chael is from 10.
Oh, okay. I thought it wasn't Chael. We've got Mark Munoz here making an interesting face. This one is one of my favorites. Very fitting. Vitor Belfort, new Vitor Belfort. There was an older one, but this one, his hair is coiffed to the side, as you can see, like the new Vitor. He's got the Ultimate Fighter Brazil shorts. It's great. If you're listening to this via MP3 podcast, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but trust me, it's a great action figure. Now, here we've got, who's this? Is this the Dominator?
Carlos Condit.
Okay. Kind of looks like a fat Chris Weidman, if you ask me. Still cool, nonetheless. Well, of course, here we have George St. Pierre, one of the 9,000 they've made of George. And this is Johnny Bones. This is a way better Johnny Bones than the other one, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is a good one. And of course, how could we forget the great Brittany Palmer in her WC attire, holding up the 5 for round 5. There it is. And a little to her right, I'm not sure it's going to stay. It's not going to stay. There's my El Goyito mask that I got from Eric Perez. And if you look, can we see what's here, Isaac? Can we see? There it is, my friends. A little preview. Helwani Knows coming at you, February of 2013. HelwaniKnows.com. A lot of you people ask me about it. There it is. The shirt right there. Helwani Knows is going to be available in 3 colors to start off, but we're expanding. Shipping everywhere. Don't worry. February 2013. HelwaniKnows.com. It is coming.